Welcome to the Milt Talk Legacy Builders podcast, a place where Milts can connect to one another to inspire, motivate, and collaborate to continue to build a strong and well-connected alumni association. I believe that Milton Hershey School rebranding is actually just getting started, and I want to be part of that journey. I think the best way to commemorate Milton and Catherine Hershey is to continue our own legacy that impacts the world as Milton Hershey so impacted us. I believe the level of extraordinary that each and every Milt carries within them is deeply underestimated, and this podcast will help in the journey to show off what Milts are really made of. I'm excited to get to know more Milts, more insight to their upbringing, and what they're doing now to build their legacy and bring value to others, and what being a Milt really means to them. Today I'm talking to Craig Ward, class of 2007, founder of Ward of Health. Craig is an advocate for good health with a passion for making healthy choices and giving ourselves the best options to nurture our body. Craig is a young father with an indescribable love for his family's health and well-being. That realization has led him on the path of great ambition in pursuit of happiness. He believes that we need to be aware of our behaviors and habits we pass down to the next generation. He has acquired over a decade of experience in the food industry, ranging from fast food management to bartending and serving. His mantra of organization and cleanliness exudes into the foundation of the core of Ward of Health. Welcome to the Milt Talk Legacy Builders podcast, Craig, and thank you so much for being my guest today.
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna get right into it. So what class did you say? You said you were 07, right?
2007, yep.
And when did you get to Milton Hershey? How old were you when you got there?
I was 10, 2001, I believe. It was right before my 11th birthday.
Okay, yeah, I was 10 years old back in 96 though. Okay. So now when you got to did you know, like as a kid, did you have this same passion for good eating? Were you always a pretty good eater, or did that change later in life?
I've always been a pretty good eater. My mom and my dad, they had a catering business, a small catering business at one point in their lives. And I got to see their, cooking ability. And they both, instilled in me from a young age how to cook and the ability to cook for yourself. So yeah, it was always innate pretty much.
Oh, that's good. So what kind of food did you grow up eating with them?
Southern classics, the traditional Southern classics, fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, black eyed peas, stuff like that. They had, a really heavy reliance on seasoning and flavors, and bringing out the best of the food and the items that they were using with, the herbs and the seasons and the spices they were using. So that was like instilled in me at a young age that everything had to be, seasoned and flavored correctly.
Yeah.
Per the dish you're making. And so like for me, it just was like, a very fun thing always being in the kitchen. I like to be able to bring people, in the kitchen and be able to give them food and have them see that, hey, I know how to cook and I'm a man. And a lot of people didn't, know that men knew how to cook. My mom was big on having her sons know how to cook. So.
Oh, that's great. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a younger sister and I have an older brother, but I also have 3 stepbrothers. So.
Nice. And do you all cook?
Yeah, we all cook. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good. So when you graduated Milton Hershey, what did you study? Did you go to college?
I did go to college briefly. I went to college for the first year. I went to Coppin State University. I studied biology and business.
Wow, so totally different than what you're doing now.
Well, not really. I mean, if you think about it, biology, and I'm in business. So, I mean, like biology was always like a passion. Like I wanted to be a chiropractor or a physical therapist, pretty much helping people, in a physical sense. I'm still doing it, but I'm doing it from like a base standpoint of helping them build up the foundation of health and wellness and like how you can pretty much maintain a healthy lifestyle. And, that you can pretty much prevent all the other diseases and stuff from being an issue and needing those people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually so true. I mean, biology, yeah, we are made up of biology. So you definitely still are in that range as opposed to what you're putting into your body. And then business. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, so you absolutely went that venue. So you didn't finish out college. You just decided you wanted to get straight into the workforce.
Yeah. I wanted to finish out college, but then like, I just like, for me, it's like, I kept being sucked back into the need for, money and being able to afford what I needed to, pay for books and this and that and the third, get back and forth to class. And my family, they were always, used to me being in Mount Hershey. They weren't available to help me, to the extent that I needed all the time. So, I just took it upon myself to get, employed and get a job. And my first job outside of, after Mount Hershey was working at Friendly's in Palmyra, and then like after that, I went from there to work for Texas Roadhouse, to one place after the next. And for the last, 15 years, I've been working for these places. And like, these places are like, places that you work and get like a little bit of money to work per hour.
Right.
And it's always the notion that this is for a bigger purpose for me. And I must have said it, manifesting it into reality. I least said 1,000 times, over those nights, those long nights, those hard nights, those cold nights, those dirty nights, all those nights, manifesting what I really wanted. And I was like, look, I'm gonna do this for myself one day. And so I started from the bottom, as far as in the kitchen, back of house, still learning everything. And then I worked my way up, going to the front of house, to bartending, to managing. And then once I got tired of that, I just stepped into owning my own business. And
that's awesome.
By that time I was vegan. I was already vegan for about, 4 years at that time. Okay. And so
what year was that? When did that start?
What year did that start? I believe okay. So like this is like a very, no one really knows this about me, but I started this journey out of a relationship that I ended with my kid's mother. And just because there was things that I wanted to pretty much change and grow from and progress to be a better person. And it was like, I wanted to be better for myself, and not only myself, but my daughter. So in order to have a healthier me, a better me, I started to take steps to do that. Things that I kind of was holding back on or procrastinating on because I was thinking that this person may not want to see me or want to see me do the things that I want to do. And so I kind of just took it as a vow of freedom and self-expression for myself. I started growing my hair. The day I became vegan, I started growing my hair. Or vegetarian. I started growing my hair. Then I started to do other things, like think differently, study differently, just unlearn the things I was doing before, and just to try to have a different impact on my daughter primarily. And it made my thinking better. It helped me, stay positive. It helped me with, maintaining my stress and my emotions. All in all, made me more aware and conscious of myself and others and things around me. And so for me, I just feel like it just opened my eyes to like everything else. And for the person that I felt like I wasn't able to be because of my past, I felt like I had been, missing my calling or not exactly living up to my full potential. So it was like, this is what I knew that I could do without needing anyone else. This is something that was already in my wheelhouse. I was already about health and fitness. So in food, so for me to transition into, wanting to learn more about how to cook food, it was only out of desire for and need. Like I had to find food, so to do the journey, I had to figure out what to cook for myself. And, trying to instill it the same values in my daughter, I had to learn what to cook for her. And, her being a kid, she's the biggest critic there is. So I had to, completely change my ideas and, and my way of, presenting it to her. Because at first it was, just veggies and quinoa, just some guacamole or avocado on the side. And that really wasn't, it just got boring. So I had different presentations, different things, show her there's more than just eating vegetables, because her mom would be like, oh, you're just giving her sides. And, no one would ever understand. Like people thought I was crazy, when I first did this. Like, this is a white people thing. And like, I'm like, that's not true. And so I would educate myself on, what were the indigenous, diets and lifestyles that we had prior to being, colonized, moving to America. So it was a huge journey for me. And like, I learned a lot about, myself and my culture, learned a lot about, the history that wasn't taught to us. I learned a lot about the food culture, the food history, what's hybrid and what's not hybrid. I was introduced to Dr. Sebi, and it like took me off on a whole nother realm. And it was like really resonating with me in my experiences. I was taking what I was learning from all these different sources and applying it to my life as like experimental, and then in doing that, I was feeling better. I was eliminating my allergies. I was eliminating my headaches. I wasn't stressing. I wasn't always angry. I was able to feel myself getting in through my emotions and be present instead of just reacting to things. Like it was really, really like I want to say like it's the craziest experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
And for me, this is something that I try to instill in other people. Like it's not just about you, it's not just about, you know, the future generations, but it's also about the environment that we leave those future generations. And so just being more conscious and of the holistic approach to everything, how everything comes from the ground up, you know what I mean? And our impact on those things is
Yeah.
like I became more aware. And so I wanted to just share that with people. And I feel like for me, me wanted to change the world and be a better person for the world. I wanted to find a way to do that. And I felt like food was the way to do that. I was noticing that through food, I was teaching people. People were more adept to try to change their lifestyle if they can see an option or if they can see a possibility. They couldn't see it before, just seeing all sides in their head of potatoes, carrots, and broccoli. Oh, I don't want that,
Yeah.
you know, but presenting it in a way that's going to be
Healing.
palatable and attractive to them. Yeah, and fun, you know. So you have to do that. And I learned to do that over time.
Yeah.
And this is what I built, you know. This is definitely something that I've worked hard to do.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of pride in it. I want people to pretty much take what I do and go and do it for themselves, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, you know, and as you should be extremely proud of your journey, because that journey to first self-awareness and then you know unlearning, I love what you said, unlearning what was not good for you and then relearning, you know, some new experimental things to see how that's going to affect your mind and your body and your spirit. That's so crucial, because a lot of times everything we've learned we got, you know, from our past, from our parents, from our friends, from whatever, and then that just becomes kind of stuck. And a lot of times it's not progressive because it's of the past, you know? So and I tell that to people all the time, you know, of different areas in our life. You know, we have to unlearn what we've learned and recondition our brain, reprogram our brain for some new stuff, you know? So I love that. I think that's phenomenal that you were able to do that and then apply all that you've learned. You know, all the research that you've done is amazing. You can tell that you really went deep into the research. I love that you went deep into the culture, because that comes out now in your food. It comes out in your branding. It just comes out in the energy of what you're doing in all your different business models. I see it in like the market, you know, the type of audience that you're attracting. I see it in the articles that I've read about you so far, what people say. They're picking up on all of that energy. So it's really cool. And to do all of that so young, phenomenal. You know, a lot of people don't really reach that journey of enlightenment, maybe later in life, like 30s and 40s and 50s. And some people actually never do. They're never able to, you know, reach self-awareness and enlightenment. And they kind of just keep passing on, like you said, the same stuff over and over to our generations. So the fact that you did that so early and so young, your kids are going to be so much better for it. So I love that. What year was it that you started Word of Health?
Yeah, I want to say that's what I'm supposed to answer. That was the original question you asked me. So
Well, the
2006,
original one was, when did you go vegan? Because I
yeah,
think,
2016 was the
okay,
journey. Like, I started my hair. I started being vegetarian. Okay, so 2016, I think I was vegetarian. 2017 was when I became vegan.
okay.
And so since 2017, yeah,
And then
yeah,
when did you say, you know what, I'm going to do Word of Health. I'm going to start my own business.
Word of Health started in 2019. I actually was actually had my best job working for Ralph Vartan at Cafe 1500. I was a front of house manager. You know, the best money I've ever made in my life. I definitely was working for him, and you know, it was fine. It was great. I was working 6 days a week, and I was working like 12 hours a day, and it was just taking a toll on my mental, and it wasn't allowing me the creative space that I wanted. It wasn't. It was stifling my vision for what I wanted for myself. You know, I wanted all the things that I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do. Like I wanted to be a sommelier, and
Yeah.
or you know, wine steward. And so for me, wanting to do that, and then wanting to be a server in the industry, it wasn't in line with my values. I was vegan at this time, and so serving, you know, wine like I wanted to quit drinking. And so like
Yeah.
serving wine and being a bartender was impossible to do because I always had to taste the wine and alcohol.
Right. Right.
Um, so that was a, you know, a conflict of interest. And then, you know, serving food to people, lying to them, telling them, hey, you should eat this, you know,
Yeah.
no, that it was just to get a check, you know, just
Right.
like that wasn't something I really wanted to do. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was like this, like people would ask me all the time, like, what do you really think? Like I asked them, do you want my honest opinion? And they would ask me, oh yeah, you mean honest opinion? I'd say, well, I'm vegan. And they'd either stop me or
Yeah.
they'd allow me to continue. And
Yeah.
so I would do my duty as a vegan in talking to my customers and letting them know the truth if they ask for it. But as far as doing my job as a server, I was still going to explain to them and do my job the best of my ability. I'm not going to, you know, ruin your experience. But at the same time, if you want me to tell you the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
So and like that's just, you know, that's just something that I tell people all the time. Like, you know, for me, I don't look down upon anybody who isn't where I'm at in my journey. You know, I just try to make people aware, because for me, when I was aware of it, when I seen it, when I realized, it was when it stopped for me.
Yeah.
You know, if someone tells you the truth that you've never been told about something that you really weren't, you know, knowledgeable of, it's like, wow, how you can't ignore it after that. You know, it's like if you're choosing to ignore it. So ignorance is no longer an option.
Yeah.
So for me, I just try to educate people, because it's not just like, hey, let's do it because it's a fad. Let's do it because it's a trend. Let's do it. I was doing it before that. I was doing it when it was weird to do it. You know, I was doing it, you know, when they were like, hey, you're the only Black person doing it. Like, they're like, I'm like, I'm not doing it for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Janita was the initial person, Janita Medina, she was the initial person who was of color, who showed me that it was possible to do it. And she was doing it, and I loved what she was doing. And like, you know, she has a wholly different take on things, you know? So like for me, I just took what she did and just added my own vision, you know, added everything that, you know, I saw and she showed me, and, you know, that I learned on my own journey, you know. But those were the only people I've seen, Janita, and there probably might have been one other person who was a vegetarian that I knew at the time. And there was nothing else, you know, so there was
You
out
know,
here.
that's hard when you know you're the only one and you have, you know, friends and family, and you know they're still eating that old way where it could still be tempting, you know. And then you also have, you know, people telling you like, this is weird, this is weird, this is weird. It's almost like when you want to start a business and everybody's like, no, not a good idea, or it's probably not gonna, all the negative, you know. So it's like that weight that you're already struggling with certain things on your own, let alone the weight of everything else coming down. So, but good for you that you were able to push through that and say, but this is what I want, this is where my passion is. Because as you're talking about it, I can feel your passion. So your passion was obviously a lot stronger. Your need for this feeling of, you know, self-betterment was a lot stronger than a lot of what you had to deal with getting up there. But I can't believe you started Word of Health only in 2019. To see your progression, because I watch you on social media. I mean, every article that came out, I think I've seen like 2 so far that were very recent, but I've seen other little things all over social about you, and I love your videos that you're doing. First of all, I love food. Let me just say that. So
for a while now, yeah, you've been a beast in the kitchen,
yeah,
definitely.
I love cooking. You know, what's so funny is my husband went to culinary arts school, so he always thought he was either going to be a chef or some sort of, you know, running of the restaurant. So he did like 2 years food service management, 2 years like culinary, and then for like 11 years from college on, he worked in the restaurant industry. So he was front of the house, back of the house. He wanted to open his own restaurant at one point, but then, you know,
Up to him.
yeah, he did all of that. But then we saw like running your own restaurants, it's very consuming time wise. So he then thought he was going to get into like restaurant consulting, but then we ended up in financial planning. But now, and he's an eater like me. We love going to places like Houston's and eating prime rib. We're not the healthiest, but
Well,
now
I like because you cook though.
huh?
You're a cooker. You're not like a person
Yeah.
that goes out and just buys the product. You cook. I've seen you cook, and you cook.
Yes.
So like, if I was in my day when I was eating meat, I would be fine with eating at your house. No
Yeah.
problem at all.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
That means a
no
lot.
problem at
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. Yeah. So
Your
we
food is amazing. I know.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me because I also thought I was going to get into culinary art. I wanted to be a chef all my life. I just wanted to like feed people. But I have two brothers and they were older and very like dominant and persuasive. They were like, you're doing business, nothing else. You're going to be a businesswoman that pays better, you know? So I
Yeah.
studied marketing and business, but which I'm kind of glad I did because I do love cooking for people, but I don't like cooking under pressure. So that to me would be hard to cook under the pressure of, you know, however many people need this and what time and this and that. I like to cook and drink and you know, have no time or
Yeah,
but
trust me, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah, like fun social cooking. But he recently is really getting into his health. So now he's thinking more about going raw. He's doing like a juice cleanse right now that he started. It was like a 30-day thing. He's working with like a wellness coach that's helping him through that. Because he's starting to feel it. At one point, he had high blood pressure. So he's like, you know, we just need to eat better. Our daughter's starting to eat more and more candy. We're seeing that she thinks about it as soon as she wakes up in the morning. I want chocolate milk. So he wants to like exactly what you said. He's like, she's gonna eat whatever we eat. She's gonna have whatever habits we have. We need to start teaching her the right way. Like we need to start feeling better. So he's definitely getting more and more into like the better eating. And then as he does it, of course, I want to do it or I want to cook better so I don't tempt him as much, you know? So I've been putting him onto your videos because I'm like, look, we can make we can make crab cakes, you know?
Honestly, I mean, listen, I tell people I did this, you know, out of desire, you know, I did this
Yeah.
out of the passion and the need for it. But at the same time, my parents, you know, my grandparents, you know, they had diabetes, high blood pressure,
Yeah.
you know, heart disease, cancer. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that. And like, it terrifies me, you know, like I want to live a long, happy life.
Yes.
And so for me, my vision of myself, and this is like something that I've been dreaming about for years. I'm talking about for like probably 20 years, it's been a dream of mine. I just want to be wealthy enough to afford a lifestyle of being on the beach every day,
Yeah.
doing yoga, kung fu, and surfing.
I love
Let
that.
me do that.
That sounds
And that's
awesome.
it. I just want to be the old guy with dreads, walking on the
Yeah.
beach with no shirt on, sandals, a surfboard, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know, he
But
just eats a whole
healthy as
bunch of
can
food.
be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. And so
Yeah.
for me, I just really don't have a lot of needs. I really just want to farm, you know, just have my kids be healthy, and that's it, you know.
Yes. Yeah, I've always wanted a farm. That's one thing that is a passion of mine. I want a ranch. I definitely want to be able to live off my land and be resourceful. For me, I
Yeah.
feel like humans, yeah, like we were literally made to be resourceful. Um, and I think a lot of what we've done, yeah, it's more about convenience, fast, you know, processed, and it's all about money now. And it's such a
It's taking
terrible
ourselves
way.
away from nature.
Yeah, we've used nature and like shitted on it afterwards. Like we're not being resourceful, we're being like um over like greedy. We're taking it and using it in a negative way. You know, there is a way to be resourceful and still balance nature and us, you know, and I feel like the majority of people are not doing that. But like you said, if we go back to our roots, every culture was brought up living off the land, you know, cultivating the land. And then as business and industrialization came, you know, it's just about taking advantage of the land and not just being resourceful with it. So I love the fact that more and more people now finally are getting on this trend or this better, healthy lifestyle thing that's going on, because in the end it is going to help, you know, our ecosystem. It's going to help us live longer. Just going to have healthier people, healthier kids. You know,
Healthier planet.
obesity is happening in kids. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where there's a lot of things happening with kids, there's a lot of things happening with the earth. And I mean, it all comes back to us taking ourselves and knowing that we're going further and further away from nature, closer to being, you know, autonomous technology. You know what I mean? So it's all cool, it's all great, it's all convenient, but do we want to be, you know, synthezoids? Or do we
Right,
want
right.
that we are? So it's like, It's like for me, it's like I just I just don't get it. For me, I try to tell people like, you gotta approach everything, with the mindset of like, where does it start? Like,
Right.
where does it come from? When I feel like my nose flaring up or something
Yeah.
like that, or I feel like mucus in my throat, or I feel like any type of ailment. Normally, like for the last 5 years, I haven't felt anything, but if I feel something like an itchy throat, I know that that's my body's response to something that I had that I wasn't supposed to, or something that's around that I'm fighting off.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for the most part, doing those things is like just listening to your body is what I try to tell people. Like if you can tell when you have a reaction to something, like when I eat strawberries and when I eat pineapple, my nose sweats. My nose does not
Wow.
sweat any other time. I can run 11 miles, my nose will never sweat. But if
Wow.
I eat a pineapple or a strawberry, my nose sweats.
Wow.
And so it's just mild reactions to things like that, just to be more aware of, more conscious of, just to be conscious of the fact that, hey, if you're going to take something, that was alive and kill it, then you need to replace it with something. You need to be doing something like observing that, you know what I mean? Remembering that, recognizing that, and being grateful for it,
Yeah.
respecting it, and not like necessarily just abusing it, like it's different if we would be, there would be no need for veganism if we were just taking what we needed to eat and nothing more. But
Right.
we throw away half the food we eat, half the food
Yeah.
we kill to eat. We're like raiding the oceans, raiding the forests,
Yeah.
just destroying as much as we can just to put food on our table.
Yeah.
Is that what we're really doing? And it's like we say we're higher beings, we're intelligent beings, but like we really don't move like
Right.
that.
Yeah. It's gluttonous. It's absolute gluttony.
It's lazy for real,
Yeah.
for real. It's lazy. We think we're doing a better job because we're trying to, provide this service. So we're industrializing everything, making it, we're throwing out nets the size of towns,
Yeah.
to cover this large ocean space,
Yeah.
grazing the ocean floor to rip up coral reef, to grab, so many things to eat, killing so much more. It's like,
Like
what's
you
the
said,
point?
we're not replacing it. And that is so, so important. Because if we're not replacing it at the pace that we're taking it, then it's going to deplete. I mean, that's why these things are going extinct. Our coral reefs, yeah, they're going completely white, dead. It's really, and that, I mean, you take one thing out of the ecosystem, the whole chain starts to get messed up. It's a
It's not even
chain reaction.
exactly what you just said. Exactly what you just said. We're literally like, it's like taking a tree out the forest does so much damage to the forest. Taking fish and coral out the ocean does just as much damage as anything else. So
Yeah.
it's like we need everybody on this spaceship called Earth. We need everybody to do their job and their part, part of the crew. So like for me, it's like I think that we all could be better custodians as humans. You know what I mean? I think that where we're getting there, we're all becoming more aware. For
Yeah.
me, I feel like my biggest impact, what I can do to change the world and do my job, is to just continue to do what I'm doing. And so like when people try the food and they try the food, but then they hear that, what else about like this about me, or
Yeah.
this about, why I'm doing this,
Yeah.
then they start to be like, okay, it's a bigger picture, because it's not just about today, it's really about tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Like I
Yeah.
want an ocean, I want beaches, I want that for my
The
grandkids.
healthy one.
I
Yeah.
want that, right, exactly. So and I don't want them to be there with an inhaler and have a mask over their head
Yeah.
because or you know what I mean? I
Breaking
don't want that.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
want that. So yeah.
Yeah. So word of health, what if people want to try your food? Where do they go? How do they try your food?
I mean, the Broad Street Market is open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay. And that's in
And that's the best
Harrisburg.
place to get the shower food. Yes, that's in Harrisburg. Yeah.
Okay. So
Thursday.
you do have your spot at the Broad Street Market. Are you
Mhm.
always there?
I am always there. Yeah. As
Yeah.
of now, I'm always there.
Yeah.
I was trying to take a step back and let it be run by itself, but I have to be there right now. While we just
Yeah.
added like 14 new items about a month ago. So until everything's perfectly running, I'll be there.
Exactly. It's so hard, especially in the beginning, for the founder, the person who runs it all. This is your thing, to leave it up to some of the employees, it's
So
almost
many
impossible.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so many things. Like I don't know if you know this. I also have a cookbook coming out. So on top of like, the videos that we try to create for everyone, I've been, I'm very much slacking on that, trying to do everything else, is running the business.
Yeah.
But the videos are coming back. We have, the products coming out.
So what are the
Um,
products?
The products we have a hot tea coming out called Regulate. We like released that, did a small release when we were doing, you know, the community based events. They were like the pop-ups we were doing for La Couture in Harrisburg. We released them there. We had some at the market when we first opened up. The next thing after that would be like we're trying to get our elixirs in stores. They're cold beverages, you know, the butterfly pea limeade and the elderberry lavender tea.
Okay.
We also have our seasonings. I have like a couple of blends of seasonings coming out. You know, we're just going to be rebranding to have a separate company underneath Water Health to pretty much, you know, produce those and have those come out.
Okay.
But yeah, different blends coming out of seasonings. We have the teas and we also have the elixirs coming out.
Okay.
So
Can
other than
you
that, we
get all this
have
on your website?
all this will be on my website. Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
available everywhere. So yeah,
Okay.
that'll be the next thing, as well as the recipe book. So those four things. Yeah.
How exciting. The recipe book is such a phenomenal idea. I've always wanted to do like a recipe book that I'm able to pass down to all the kids in our family. Like we literally have, I have like 13 nieces and nephews outside of
Yeah.
my one daughter. I have 13 other nieces and nephews already. And one of my brothers is not even done yet. His wife is pregnant now with their second baby. So that'll be number 14. Niece or nephew. So what I've been doing is all the recipes that, you know, I have that I got from my mom or my sisters, and we just keep adding to it. I have like our Arabic recipes because we're Arab. And then as we get more, like I love Trinidadian food. That's one of my favorite foods. So I've added like Trinidadian recipes in there, and then some other things that I have collected along the way. I add them in there, and I have them in like my Gmail as like a draft. So when we're done, I'm going to do like pictures of us that I've collected, stuff like that, pictures of the food, put it in there, and then finally print it and give it to all the kids. And then they could pass it down to their kids. So at least like these recipes stay alive, you know? Like I want my mom's, because all Arab food, it has different variations, just like other cultures. Like there's a recipe, and then there's the Syrian way, then there's the Lebanese way, then there's the Turkish way, you know? I want my mom's way to stay in our generations, you know what I mean? So they can learn how my mom made cheese and learn how my mom made kubbe and stuff like that. So cookbook, phenomenal idea. I will definitely be getting that cookbook.
Keep in mind, for me, I think that this is something that resonates with me. Cookbooks are very sacred. They're like,
Yeah.
If you watch any type of, you know, witchcraft shows or something like that, they're like the book of spells for each family. You know what I mean? Like,
Funny, yeah.
and I mean that, like, if you think about it, they literally are sowing the life into the
Yeah.
family. Like, because
Yeah.
like what you teach them are what they're going to teach the next and the
Yeah.
next. So it's like what we have done accidentally has passed down, you know, pretty much foods that we've made out of scarcity, out of, you know, out of not having anything in abundance.
Yeah.
And so like we've done things, you know, just to make anything out of something, you know, or something out of nothing, you know.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and we kind of got to go back to just making it for the purpose of, you know, actually sustaining our life,
Yeah.
and bettering our and healing ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we can always have the traditional, you know, recipes or traditional flavors, but
Right.
we can make things more consciously than we were, knowing that, you know, we're eating something that's literally taking away from the purity of our body.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now we can do better than that. So I think, you know, as you go forward and make that recipe book, you should definitely channel that energy to want to pass down those great
Yeah.
things about, you know, health and wellness. Because like for every generation we pass down recipe books. I look at mine and my grandmother's, and it's like lard and stuff. Like
Yeah.
we didn't know any better, you know, like,
Yeah.
and like eating, you know, the bowels of an animal is never going to be a good thing. So like I
Right.
would never pass that down to my family. But
Yeah.
you know, this, as far as the flavors, the seasonings, like the idea of how we did things, that's definitely something, you know, the energy, that's definitely the energy I want to pass down.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of like you said, for sustaining food long term, we grew up on a lot of fermented food. Like, you know, we ferment our olives, eggplant, stuff with walnuts and garlic, you know, and red pepper and olive oil, like, and they'll last, you know, a year. So you make it once a year and then it's fermented. So it lasts all year. We eat it every day for breakfast, you know. A lot of those recipes, 100% I'm passing down. Like the fact that My mom was so proud that I was like, I'm the youngest of 7. So, and I was the first to learn how to make magdous. That's what the fermented eggplant is called, magdous. And I was the first to replicate it just like my mom. So she was like blown away that like I could do something fermented. But once I did it, I was like, man, I felt like empowered. Like I could totally do what my mom does, you know, and that feeling of like empowerment of being able to do that was, it felt so good. And I want to be able to watch my daughter cook. Like you said, you guys being boys and being able to cook, your mom must have been so proud.
Yes, she definitely is proud. My brother, he was the first to start a food business for as far as my mom's kids. He had like a small catering business outside of his home with his wife in Allentown for a while. And then like they stopped that and then did end up doing landscape. But yeah, he was very successful in doing that for the small period of time. Him and his wife are very well known cooks in the city. So like
That's
my family is known for cooking. So like it's not like a surprise to anyone.
how
Like,
funny is that? That's like you guys is, it's a legacy that's starting. It's a legacy that's happening there. Yeah. And then you're just making that legacy healthier and better and stronger and passing down all the good of it and making it, you know, just better for the kids. So of course they still get the flavors, like you said, the seasonings, you know, the way that it's cooked and stuff, but now you're just passing on a healthier mindset to go along with it.
absolutely.
Which is really, really phenomenal. I'm curious, um, how did the pandemic, I don't know if you had the market at Broad Street, if that was open before the pandemic hit, and then were you able to experience any issues of the pandemic with that? Did you guys have to pivot in any way, or how did the
So
pandemic
yeah,
affect you?
I'll explain to you my situation. So for me, before the pandemic, okay, so I initially started Water Health. I quit my job, walked out, just started Water Health.
Right.
Um, like literally, it was my 2019 resolution. I was 2018 at was it December 31st, 2018 at like 8 p.m. I was on the phone and I'm like, look, I'm just gonna walk out. And my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend's like, yeah, just walk out. So I just walk out. And I walked out and then I believe I literally walked out the back and just kept walking home because I live like 2 blocks away from where that's 2 blocks away from where I live.
Yeah.
And I walk home and I'm just like, thinking to myself, and my brother had been telling me, just jump out the window with whatever you're gonna do. And I'm just like, this is the thing I can do. And I remember thinking about it and just being hesitant about it and trying to figure out a name. And Malcolm Mays, he's my best friend, and so he was always helping me, trying to push me to move forward in that idea. And he was like, "Yo, you just got to get a name, bro. You got to get a name. You know what I mean? Set your brand tone." And I'm like, "Okay." And so we took a while to figure it out, but I pretty much knew I wanted to be health and wellness, food, orientated, restaurant type thing. And I believe we came up with it just off some. I was like, something. It's like Board of Health, Department of Health, something, and it was like Ward of Health, and I was like, oh, that's actually nice. I like that. And
Yeah.
then so we kept with that, ran with that, and then like for me, it was something that I was very passionate about, and I wanted to like share it with people. And then when Nipsey Hussle died, it was kind of like it resonated even more with me, and I was just like really upset and angry with the fact that Dr. Sebi died trying to pretty much pursue the idea of spreading this knowledge to people.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if it was because of their delivery or but no one else believed that it was because of whatever reason. But for me, I just thought it was something more behind it. Like, why is someone trying to hide this information from our people?
Yeah.
And so that's when I went out and got a tattoo for the marathon. I still got
Yeah.
right there. The marathon, I got that,
Nice.
the marathon tattoo.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm going to do my part, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm going to continue, that part of his legacy. And I just, took it and ran with it. And we just been continuing on, you know what I mean? Like pretty
Yeah.
much on everything. I had to pivot in 2020 because in 2019, I quit my job.
Yeah.
And I was just doing water health. I had enough funds to get me through, like, majority of the year. Then once they ran out, I had to realize that, this is something that I needed to, supplement with, another income. And so I had to, or else I was going to fail. And so I got another job working as a server bartender. And then, I when they didn't want me anymore because it was another place I was working for, a French restaurant. I learned about French cuisine, a great restaurant. These run by 3 women, phenomenal women.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot about, being owners, and pretty much just guided me to want to do this,
Yeah.
and believe in myself, because they started out the Broad Street Market. And so
Wow.
knowing that they started Broad Street Market and where they were at that point was, a huge, huge, huge uh, feat and journey for them. So for me, I wanted to, be a part of that. And I had always thought in my mind, if I could start the Broad Street Market, that'd be the best place for me to start.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much a cheat code. People automatically go there. And it's just a source for what we already have in Harrisburg, which is great food. And so I just, was like, I'm just kept in my mind. And then moving forward, I left that job. Then I got another job working at Bonefish. And when I got a job at Bonefish, I let them know, hey, I'm a business owner. I have a business that I do on the side to do catering, meal prep, and provide food for people.
Yeah.
So that will come first, and they understood that. And then when COVID hit, I was working part-time. When COVID hit, the hours went down to pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
And so I just without a second thought, I just, dove right into doing my business more. And that was just based on the need to I had more time, I had more time. At this point, I was going to get unemployment. So I was like, I'm just going to put all my energy into this and see where it lands me. And just doing that, having the ability to have the freedom, to still have the same income I was having, and be at home all the time. I was just like, just always posting, I was doing this, I was doing that. So it was like a perfect setup for me to have, it was like, it was a blessing, so like, yeah, COVID sucked, but I got to flourish. So I continued on doing everything, me and Malcolm Mays, we did everything as far as, making the videos and doing that, him, like, pretty much staying up. Yeah, he's another Milt too. He didn't graduate, but he's been there,
Yeah,
he
so
was a original Milt.
once you spent one day at MHS, you're in Milt life.
I think he was there from pre-K to 9th grade. So yeah, like he
wow.
definitely, yeah. But yeah, so moving on, we were just trying to, just continue on building, our page and, our brand. And so I'm like, yeah, let's keep doing it. And then like eventually it got to the point where I went to the market one day when it was open, and one of my friends who I worked with at Rubicon, he was like, hey, man, he's like, you still doing that at your house? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you do the ventilator, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, why don't you just get a spot here at the market? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just waiting until it's open, man. He's like, there's a spot here open now. I'm like, and I kind of like fake psyching myself out. Like I was thinking like I couldn't do it yet. You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, he just kind of like encouraged me to do it. And his name is Josh, and he encouraged me to do it. And I just went for it. I just talked to the director, who also his name is Josh. And he was like, yeah, so like I brought some food for him, gave him my business plan. He introduced it to the board of directors, and then they had me on there. And then like it took a couple months. I didn't have the funds, like, again, I just did it off the whim. So I had like maybe like 1/3 of the money I needed.
Yeah.
And I just, just like, let me ask for something, I was like, what's the worst? I was like, make people aware that I'm doing this. I was like, I'm really doing this for everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, so I can definitely cook for myself, but I'm doing it for everyone else, I'm saying, to provide this for the city. So I believed in it. And a lot of people who believed in me saw me through my journey, and like, they would, like I would do a post where I'm like, hey, I'm doing pre-orders tomorrow, tell me what you want from this little menu, and everyone would tell me what they want, and I'd make it, literally at my house, and they come pick it up. And so when I could like make a decent amount of money off of doing that from my house without doing anything with COVID, it's like, why not just go for this? And so I based my projections off of that, as far as my business went, and pretty much just ran with it. We went out the way and got everything we needed, set it up the way I've learned and, been accustomed to doing, in this industry, and handle myself accordingly. Like, applied everything that I've learned in this journey, in the journey, in the restaurant industry itself, in my journey from health and wellness, all those passions I combined to one thing. And this is my baby, Water Health. So
and it's so awesome. We were saying this a little bit earlier before I even started recording, that I love what you built and how you're building it, because you didn't just say, okay, Ward of Health is just the name of the restaurant at the market, or it's just the name of a restaurant. You literally started off building the brand Ward of Health. And then under there, we're going to have, the market at Broad Street. We're going to have this website. We're going to have our different products. And it's the umbrella name, it's the brand, and then all of your products and services underneath. And that is probably one of the smartest ways to build a company, is by building the brand so people know the name. So anything that you put under that name, because they love the brand, they love the name, they know it's, um, they know the quality of it, they're
Right,
going to accept everything you put under it. So
right.
it's just a really smart way to have done that. So kudos to doing it that way. I mean, and continue to do that. The fact that, you're going to have a cookbook under there, you're going to have your seasonings, you have your elixir, you're going to have all these things. These are just products and services, your catering, plus the restaurant that is under the brand itself, and your videos, your social. It's just building your brand out. It's so smart. I can't say it enough, honestly, how smart of a decision that was for you to do it that way. From a business, I've been a business owner since '08. So I've been in different industries as a business owner. I've talked to so many different entrepreneurs and read so many books, and know that, to see
I'm
that
not even gonna
this
sit here and act like
attitude.
I know everything. It's definitely not about me. Being a Milt, I want to say this before anything else is, said. Being a Milt, just having, we've all me and my friends, we've always had a vision for what we wanted from the world and what we wanted out of it.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like we wanted to be able to collaborate and bring ourselves together to, put each other on and put each other in positions, and, for the betterment of all of us, we bring each other up so we all can succeed and be successful.
Yeah.
Um, and just knowing, my friends who have an expertise in everything, like uh, Malcolm is an artist. He's been an artist since he was 10 years old. And so he's been building his brand, building his craft, doing all the things he's been doing and been able to pretty much in the best way possible, like, because it's not easy trying to teach an adult or another person
Yeah.
who's pretty much your peer the things that you've learned as to why, this is what they should do. And even to myself, I don't think for anyone it's easy to just to listen to what someone is trying to tell you and just go with it. But I trusted him in knowing his, how he built his brand and built himself up and everything that he was learning on his journey
Yeah.
as an artist, and how he's applying it for himself. And like, okay, I trust what you're telling me, and I know what you're telling me is like, this is what you're passionate about. I trusted him too as well. And
Yeah.
so like for me, knowing him, having him on my team, I mean, that's, I can't I can't give a number,
Yeah.
to how much that's worth. You know what I mean? Like that's worth more than
Yeah,
anything to me. So
absolutely.
it's like I definitely, am very business minded and have an idea for things,
Yeah.
but having him here is like it's not like I can't sit there and
Yeah,
act like
it's
he's not here. And I
immeasurable.
tell people all the time, it's definitely not all me. I have friends, even my friends, we're all aligned in something. Alex Gilchrist helped me build, the market, the outlook and everything, how it looks. He helped
Yeah.
me build it. He's put everything up, just
Wow.
like people believing in you, your friends and the people who really care about you, those people who know you and know your vision, like they know me. Like he does what he does, not because he just wants to help me, but just because he believes in me and he knows that what I'm doing is genuinely, what I mean, what I want to do. And it's like who I am. So it's, an integral part of, what I'm trying to show the world. It's like, yo, this is what he really cares about. So,
Yeah.
of course, my friends have my back, but I wouldn't be anywhere I'm today without, the people having my back too as well,
Yeah.
because people believe in me and that's what empowers me to continue on.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have this platform that I have today if people didn't give me the opportunity to help them. Like Gary Gilliam was one of my first customers,
Yeah.
to rock with me for an entire year, doing meal prep, and it wasn't cheap, you know what I mean? Like $2,100 every 12 weeks is not cheap.
Yeah.
And he definitely, rocked with me for the entire first year. Water Health, was in business.
Yeah.
And so that helped sustain me, as well.
Yeah.
But we definitely moved from to the market based on our pretty much marketing, advertising, and promotion that Malcolm was doing for Water Health, my own footwork that we were doing at the markets, the catering, the food itself,
Yeah.
just the collaboration between both of us, what I mean, and our businesses and our brands to build, what we're building is where, we ended up today. And it's like, it's just only going to keep going. You already know. So it's like,
Yeah.
for us, this is something that like, is like what we're doing every day, every single day. Yeah.
And I love that you talked about vision, because I talk to people about that all the time. It is so important to have a vision. I mean, God talks about it in the Bible, without a vision, people perish. And it's absolutely true. When people don't have a belief in themselves or in something, or if they are not in constant pursuit of something, a vision for their future, then we perish. We start to feel with no purpose. We're just going through the motions of life. Kind of, I used to always joke around and say, don't be a bag in the wind. You don't want to just let the wind blow you in every single direction. Have a vision for your life and always keep that vision. It's like having goals. Keep that vision in mind, because it keeps you on a path. It keeps you having a purpose. And for you to have your own vision, and then to have friends that you're surrounded by who have their own visions and believe in having a vision, is so crucial. Because one, I mean, you're going to be the average of the people that you hang out with. 5 or 6 people that are closest to you, you're going to be the average of their personalities and their work ethic and their belief system and their mindset and all of those things. So the fact that you're surrounded by this core group of solid people who are very progressive, it looks like, is so important. I mean, again, especially at you guys being so young, it's so important. I tell that to people every day. And the majority of people I do talk to or mentor are like in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And they're just now learning the importance of having a vision, having a passion, a purpose. Yeah. So you're way ahead of the game, and thank God for great friends like that. And some of them I heard were Milts. I know Gary Gilliam. I interviewed his partner about the bridge. So they have their own company going, and all the great stuff they're doing for the community. It's just phenomenal, really phenomenal.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
It's definitely something that, I say that, we're all coming into our own, there's a lot of Milts out here doing a lot of things. And it, just speaks to the character of the people that we were raised by, Catherine Milton Hershey. They were very, entrepreneurial, people, so like we saw that, and how they did it, how they had failed 1,000 times and still built this wonderful legacy. So I think that's also helps, fuel us. For me, I always wanted to impact people, and like knowing my abilities, and knowing that, for me, I always had a strong network, and being able to pinpoint, who is good for what, and to show me what I can learn from. Yeah, I was probably maybe like, I've had, my closest friends are Malcolm, Alex, Devin, all Milts, Stacey Cabrera, well, he passed away, but those are my closest friends. Even Richard Ronson, all of my closest friends, we all wanted to have something together, be able to have like a conglomerate of businesses that work together to, do this and that. I remember before, we wanted to have a construction company, and our original goal was to be able to get construction projects, bids on to Milton Hershey, to get money. So that's what we always wanted to do. We always wanted to like had a dream to pretty much take over the world. And like, just being able to help each other is like all we've ever dreamed about. You know what I mean? So like, this is like, there's things that we've been talking about manifesting for our entire life.
So how does entrepreneurship affect your family life as opposed to being an employee?
It's definitely something you got to, focus on balance and have that in mind. Have in mind, an idea for, your schedule, time management, keeping in line with, your values. Your family should come first, as far as your business. It depends. Sometimes you have to balance your passion with your family. For me, I've struggled with that a lot. I've had a hard time finding balance. For me and my kid's mom, that was the reason why our relationship ended. I worked too much. But then after, that relationship ended, I was able to dive in and just take a deeper look into myself and reflect and see what I wanted from life. And with that, able to find time to be with my daughter, find more time to be with her by being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. Before, I was mainly working for someone else, taking a lot of my day to work for someone else during the times that suited them and their business needs. Now, as a business owner, I'm able to suit my own business around my lifestyle and what I would like it to be. So I'm able to spend more time with my daughter and my family. No, I am busy, but it's easier to balance when you're the boss, as opposed to when you're the employee.
Yeah, that's so true because, as an employee, you could spend the rest of your life, constantly being controlled by someone else, your schedule constantly being dictated by someone else, or you can sacrifice, a good 5 to 10 years as an entrepreneur and not have a lot of time during that time. But then to have the rest of your life to be completely flexible and more open.
Right.
So it's like a little trade-off, trade off some time now than for later. Or as opposed to, in a normal job, normally, people get like 2 days off, but that's the rest of your life until you retire,
Yeah.
you know? So
Rest of your life.
yeah, yeah. That was a big reason I said, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur because for me, I didn't have kids at that time, but I just couldn't wrap my head around someone dictating everything about my money, my time, my what my job description is, like my day to day. I knew I couldn't do that the rest of my life. So I was like, well, I got to figure something else out because this is just not in my personality to do that. And
Mhm.
I think that was the same case with you, I think, because I think you had so many of the characteristics and like the itches of a typical entrepreneur. And I think you
Yeah.
had that young. Yeah. So you could see it in a lot of your personality traits and how early you knew, you wanted to make these types of shifts. So some people are born to be entrepreneurs. I think you
I
might
think
be one of those people.
I think it's exactly what you said. It's like a desire to not really want to be controlled.
Hmm.
Like for me, I'm very big on authority. I really don't like authority. I like someone telling me what to do. I don't like, rules are
Yeah.
cool. I like structure,
Yeah.
but in a sense that I like to be free to do what I want to do. And
Yeah.
so, being that we only got one life to live and, time is precious, I wanted to be able to maximize my time here on earth, by um, combining my passion with, what I do to put food on the table.
Yeah.
um, Finding, my ideals with that as well. So that way, I can still work, but be in the form of, what fulfills me. So like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, so I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been because I'm living in my truth and I'm doing what,
Yeah.
I want to do.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Honestly, it's all about fulfillment. It's really what it comes down to in order to just live a happy life is to just constantly feel fulfilled, even if
right.
that means you enjoy every journey you're on. And that's the whole point. It's not about just the goal, the goal, the goal, or the results.
Mhm.
You got to enjoy the entire process in order to feel happy and fulfilled. So
Absolutely.
that's good. Okay. So second to last question. What does being a Milt mean to you?
Being a Milt is very, very important to me. Like I was telling you earlier, it's like, the strongest network you can have is a Milt, to connect with the people around you, who experience the same things we've experienced, whether they came from, the same generation of classes as you or not. We all share, key things about ourselves, with each other because of the same experiences that we, hold dear to. So for me, I definitely, I rely on my Milts as my family. Those are people I look up to. Remain closest to. It's definitely my extended family. I talk to probably, three of my male best friends every day.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah,
That's so funny because, and I've been watching like the progression of alumni or like the characteristics of alumni over time. And I think that the younger the classes get, the more connected they stay after they graduate. Whereas the older classes that graduated a little bit older, like me, we're actually not as connected. Whereas
mm,
like we're working with one another, we're in constant communication, it's positive communication. Um, and that's funny that it's that way. I think in our generations, we start to like want that back again when we're like 30, 40. And then we're like, oh man, now I want to get back in touch with Mills.
yeah,
And you guys is in the younger classes, hold on one second, baby. In the younger classes, I feel like that as right after graduation, you guys still maintain such strong relationships and connections, which is really, it's cool. And I'm trying to figure out what that reasoning behind it is. I think a lot of it has to do with our experiences at Milton Hershey, individually and together. I think that might have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to see that in these younger classes, you guys have phenomenal friendships, like after Milton Hershey, which is great. And that's only going to strengthen the overall alumni association, you know?
God willing, yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I wouldn't, I can't, yeah. The value of Milt is crazy. Like what we do for each other, and how we look out for each other. There's no other group of people like us. So
Yeah,
definitely got to use it, use it to your advantage.
yeah. That was the other thing about the trait of an entrepreneur that I could easily see in you. When I reached out to you on Messenger, about inviting you onto the podcast, it was an instant, absolutely. I love what you're doing. Let's make it happen. Let's do a quick schedule. And it was so easy to set it up with you, and so quickly. And that's such a good, strong trait of an entrepreneur, because you understand the value of networking. You understand the value of staying connected with other people and utilizing different platforms, which, a lot of people don't get it either, because maybe they're too busy. Maybe it's not a priority for them right now, which is totally fine. But for sure, a great entrepreneur is always ready and prepared to get out there and network and get on another marketing platform. So I appreciate that in you for sure. And last question, what is your overall vision for your future legacy and your future generations?
I'm just trying to change the world, literally, and I'm doing it through my brand, to bring awareness to the environment, to our own health, and ourselves as people. I would like, for my vision, I would like us to be more aware and become better custodians of the earth. Just treat each other better, be better as humans, and just do better. Like, we're so smart and so intelligent and so, capable of great things. I just would like us to start living up to those things,
Yeah.
and being the higher life form that we are.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that that'll probably happen, especially now with the awareness social media brings, and the healthier trends people are getting on. People are moving towards activism, humanitarianism, taking care of our ecosystem. More and more people, I think, are jumping on that boat, and fighting for that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of young people again.
yeah.
Like it's like history is going, it's different than it was before, because young kids now are getting more passionate, and they're very expressive. Like the younger, even kids, like the way they want to do business now is all about, what I love, my passion, being expressive. Like a lot of them aren't even thinking of jobs, whereas that's what we grew up to be trained to do: go to college, get a job, go to college, get a job. These younger kids are thinking of businesses sooner. They're thinking of volunteering, in Russia or wherever the heck they want to go sooner, Antarctica, to go try to help climate change. Things that I know for me, when I was young, I never even thought of, no one ever had talked to me about climate change. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't such an issue back then, but I think younger people these days are jumping on that boat a lot faster than we did. So I think that's going to all play into your legacy, and you raising your daughter, to be that way. So yeah, that's a great legacy to leave back. Because again, it's all about giving. It's a legacy of giving. You're trying to make the world a better place. So it's a great, shows a lot of character. Yeah. So before we go, I'd love for you to shout out again your place of business, your website, any social contact info you want people to have. It's going to be on your description for the episode, but why don't you shout it out for everybody also? Shashan?
Yeah, absolutely. Ward of Health is located at 1233 North 3rd Street at the Broad Street Market in Harrisburg, PA. We're open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Our website is wardofhealth.com. Our Instagram handle is @Ward of Health, and our Facebook page is Ward of Health LLC.
Awesome. And then the elixirs are coming soon, cookbook coming soon. I'll definitely be on the
Yeah,
lookout for
lecture's
that.
coming soon, season is coming soon, hot tea's coming soon, and cookbook is also coming soon.
Nice, nice. And I'm gonna definitely check you out at Broad Street. I'm gonna make a trip down there just so I can go eat some of your food because the
Absolutely, bring it
videos
down.
have me so hungry. Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely be there. And thank you again for being on this podcast. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.
Yeah.